She's dead.
Who's dead?
You know damn well who's dead.
Oh, this is your thing.
Listen to me. He killed her, and I'm not crazy. Jody and I had a seance in the bathroom, and Jody and I, and nothing happened, but when I went back there, she was there. She was.
Wait. You had a seance. Are you angry with me?
What?
Maybe you resent how busy I've been.
No.
You know what I've got at stake with this paper. You know how important this is to me. I can't help but feel that somehow you're trying to sabotage me. You're trying to hurt me somehow.
Norman, this isn't about you. Something is happening to me. And it's not to get even, and it's not some warped bid for attention. Something is happening in our house, whether you like it or not.
Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Hello. Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back. We've got we got a scary episode.
Another movie from the year 2000 to go along with The Cell.
Okay, we just did 1999 with The Matrix, and we're moving into 2000. We're keeping it current, everybody. Well, everybody out there listening, my name is Pete.
And I'm Scott.
And these are the movies that made us gay.
Yay! So to go along with Ashley from Keep It Weird, I mean, we had to have Lauren back on.
Yay!
From Keep It Weird. Welcome back, Lauren.
Thank you, guys. I'm so honored to be here.
Last on for Drop Dead Gorgeous. The world has changed a lot since recording in person.
That's true. I got to sit on that couch next to you guys, and now we're doing everything remote. What is happening, guys?
I don't know. I miss it, though.
I know. It's crazy.
So we watched What Lies Beneath, released July 21st, 2000, directed by Robert Zemeckis, starring Michelle Pfeiffer and Harrison Ford. You wanted to do this movie, and when you said it, I'm like...
Perfect.
Man, I fucking love What Lies Beneath.
I love this movie.
Perfect choice. This is totally on brand for us. We love this movie.
Yeah, I feel like we talked about it a couple of months ago, and I wasn't sure if this fit your guys' vibe, if it was going to work for the episode, but I was like, man, I could talk about What Lies Beneath all dang day. I love it.
Strong female protagonist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hunky daddy Harrison Ford and supermodel Ghost.
We love Harrison.
Totally on brand for us.
Yeah, what else do you need?
I know. He has aged perfectly. Like, I don't know anyone who looks as good as him as an older man. He is so handsome.
Yeah. I mean, Scott was just commenting on that bod. They really made a point to show him walking around in, like, just the pajama bottoms.
Yes.
Very early in this movie.
Those pajama pants. Woo.
And I'm just like, why does Harrison Ford have this body in, like, his late 50s? It's like, what was he doing? But Pete mentioned that that's always just been Harrison Ford's gig, is that he's just always been a fit, in-shape guy.
Yeah.
And, I mean, probably ever since Temple of Doom, he's just kept it up because he really bulked up for that one.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And which
we're not mad at.
We're not mad about it at all. I love Daddy Harrison that Scott introduced me to. I will only call him that from now on because he is Daddy Harrison. That body has stayed up with him.
What is so great about Harrison Ford, and he's that very specific type of movie star from the 70s and the 90s that can just do no wrong with women our mom's age. Just like bulletproof for just like any moms out there. It's like Harrison Ford, John Travolta. Who are also like people that fit that
Clooney
category? Clooney.
Ooh, George Clooney for sure.
Yeah,
well,
moms love him.
This wouldn't normally fit into this category, but I just have to slip it in because it makes me laugh. My grandmother, who is 87 years old, loves Paul Rudd. Like, he does it for her. And he's not even like that salt and pepper guy that can do no wrong, but I just have to shout out to Janet in Florida that I love her crush on Paul Rudd. It's adorable.
She's got great taste, man. I mean, Paul Rudd, get out of here.
I love that.
And he's probably going to slowly fit into that mold
he totally
as his career
is.
progresses.
He's on the way, but it's tough for him because he doesn't age. Like, Harrison ages, he just ages with grace and is so handsome. Paul still looks the same way he does that, like, he looked in Clueless. So,
yes,
he's a baby
Very
face.
True.
Harrison will still be doing those Indiana Jones movies in his 90s.
Yes.
Isn't there one on the books coming up?
I believe so. And he's still going to be the hunkiest. We love it.
Hey, we'll take it. How many movies is this for us with Miss Michelle Pfeiffer?
Ooh.
I think this might be our third, which is Eastwick, Batman Returns, and What Lies Beneath.
Oh, gold. All of them. Michelle
Love
Pfeiffer's bone structure. I could just stare at her face all day.
That
like
face.
Her high cheekbones. It's just everything I want.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about that last night. There are certain shots in the movie where I'm just like looking at her thinking, wow, she's such a great actress. Like, she's so good in this movie. Her career has spanned like how many years and decades. It's like, pity she couldn't have kept up in the looks department. I mean, what? Come on, Michelle Pfeiffer.
I know.
Jeez.
What?
Is she secretly like I don't know, like just doesn't leave a good tip at restaurant? Like, something's got to be wrong with
Good
something.
genes.
Yeah, something happened. No,
man, something's got to be wrong with her because she's just got it all in like every department.
She really
she's probably
does.
super nice too.
I believe that she's nice and she's an amazing actress, good bod, good face. Like I'm here for it. I'm here for Michelle. And I also loved that with her beauty, because she does look stunning through this whole movie, she also was able to look terrifying just when you needed her to. She's also so good at giving you the like spooky, I'm on to you look. And I love everything she does in this movie.
Agreed. And, it's funny because we're kind of like, we're praising her, her acting talent in this movie, and she just shows a wide range, as this empty nest mom of an only child, and all of this stuff that's going on, the psychological thriller, like turns out there actually is a ghost, all this stuff is going on, and she is displaying really great range. But something that I saw in the IMDb comments, which, we talk about IMDb comments here on the show a lot. Not comments, trivia. IMDb trivia. We talk about that a lot on the show as just like little tidbits of information that we take, but you got to take it with a grain of salt because, anybody can leave that trivia there, right? All you need to do is sign in. It's like Wikipedia. And somebody had some vendetta against Michelle Pfeiffer because there is the shadiest bit of IMDb trivia.
I haven't read it before. What is it?
In there. And
what did they say? I'm already upset.
And it's about her acting. It's so shady. Let me pull it up right now. It's all the way towards the bottom. And I was just like, no, this is garbage, mama. I do not
crap on Michelle Pfeiffer. Excuse you, people.
Okay. Michelle Pfeiffer had a bizarre habit. Michelle Pfeiffer had a bizarre habit of nodding yes when she was making an affirmative statement to her husband, Harrison Ford, and nodding no when her lines were in the negative, as if to convince the audience of the truth of her words. This is a well-known acting crutch that novice actors are taught to drop in Acting 101. It looks contrived as people do not do this in real life.
Whoa.
Shady bitch.
9 out of 27 found this interesting.
Only 9.
I'm going to give that a thumbs down, and I'm going to sign in on every device
Seriously,
that I have.
Guys, if you're listening out there, help us out. Go give it the thumbs down. We're pissed. I don't like
Just sign in using your Facebook. It's super easy. You're already signed in, and just give it the thumbs down. Who wrote that?
First of all, and also, does she do that? I didn't even notice.
I didn't think about it even once.
So I remember reading that the last time we watched this movie, and then I read it again last night, about halfway through, and at one point she's talking to, her friend played by Diana Scarwood, and the friend says something and like, oh, I didn't want you to think blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, I would never think that. And shakes her head no. But I was just like, well, people do that. Like, people shake their head no when they say no. Like, it's a thing.
It does happen. I think that's what makes me mad about the person's comment is like, this would never happen in normal conversation. And it's just untrue.
Yeah.
We move our heads.
Annoying. Yeah. Shady.
Shady.
But I love that it was like Acting 101.
Right. Oh, this amateur Michelle Pfeiffer. Who even let her in the movies?
Right.
Go back to the Stanislavski school.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't buy it. I stan Michelle Pfeiffer. She's great.
Yes, indeed.
So when did we all first watch What Lies Beneath?
Ooh,
Lauren.
I watched it the year it came out, which I should not have because I didn't sleep for weeks. Like I was like 7th grade, maybe 6th or 7th grade. Like even though I had watched horror movies before, for whatever reason, this one destroyed me. Like, I was scared of my bathroom. I did not want to go near bodies of water in general. It messed me up.
Love it. Scott, what about you?
So I remember when this was released, and I was visiting my uncle in California, and I went back home, and my mom mentioned, "Oh, we went to What Lies Beneath with your sister, and we loved it." And I'm just like...
Gagged.
You went to it without me.
How dare they?
I was just like, how dare you? But I missed it in the theater, but I had this marked on my calendar, on my Buffy the Vampire Slayer calendar hanging up in my room, that I would mark down VHS release dates of movies from the stuff that I got from the video store. Or no, I think that I used to look them up online. Look at me being like 13 years old, looking up movie release dates online and writing them in a big Sharpie on my calendar. And I remember penning this in on the video date of January of 2001. And I think it was around my birthday.
For the VHS release?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was like planning my entire month around
So you never caught it in the theater?
Reserving this movie from the video store and getting it opening day.
Yes.
Like calling and getting it like set aside for me.
Like all 13-year-old boys were doing in 2000.
Yeah, like everyone was.
Setting aside the new Michelle Pfeiffer movie.
Please set aside What Lies Beneath. Thank you.
And immediately loved it.
Of course. It's great.
Yeah. I saw it in the theater.
Nice.
I was not a child. I was a late teenager. No, in the year 2000?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was
Year
20.
2000.
Because I'm way older than you two. I saw it in the theater. I saw it with my friends. I remember which movie theater I saw it. It was Hastings Ranch. And I feel like that was our, like, very early college, like, film class discussion. Like, ooh, look what they're doing here. And, you know, we were just so obsessed with all of the, like, references that were peppered throughout the movie about how, like, Hitchcock it was.
I have a list of the Hitchcock references we can discuss later.
Ooh, good, because I did read that it was very Hitchcock inspired, and I saw a little of that, but I want to hear, like, everything that made it Hitchcock.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And I just remember kind of understanding that Robert Zemeckis was kind of doing this. He was becoming, or not becoming, he was one of those big directors like he is now, that it's just like Spielberg, you know, Robert Zemeckis, Peter Jackson, just these directors that every movie they do is a huge event.
Yeah.
There's the latest technology involved, the biggest stars, and just seeing this movie with, you know, two really big names acting against each other. You know, a lot of times, especially then, it's like...
Surprisingly rare. It's usually one really famous person and someone they had to budget out the money a little bit and they're a little less famous.
Exactly. Yeah, to have these two big names, like amazing actors, beautiful people, like that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
I was reading that Harrison signed on first and then Michelle followed and they were the first choices for the roles.
Oh, nice.
Nobody else, like...
Yeah.
was considered.
Yeah. We don't want anybody else. We want Daddy Harrison and Michelle.
But I remember when, you know, we were driving home from the movie, we were just talking about how, like, there was so much going on and how, like, well done it was, because you kind of think it's like, it's a psychological thriller and, you know, there's like a big twist with Harrison Ford, and that could have been enough. Mm-hmm. But like the supernatural element also could have been enough. And they kind of put it all together and it still worked.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It didn't make one any less sense than the other. Right. It didn't feel overblown.
Every scene leads to something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of setup and payoff in the script. But I kind of felt like people might think, well, if it was a ghost story, then it doesn't need to have the element of
like the betrayal.
Husband.
Yeah.
Yes. And if it was just a marriage betrayal movie, then it didn't need the ghost story and all that. But I don't know. It's just so much fun, you know, just watching Michelle Pfeiffer drive herself crazy.
Exactly. It just looks like this woman unhinged, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I love, all of the twists and turns. Like you go into it and you're like, oh, okay, haunted house movie. Oh, wait, nope, we just found this information out. I guess maybe it's not a haunted house movie. Maybe it is just going on in her mind. Maybe she is just losing it. Oh, wait, no, now the husband's up to no good. Oh, wait, there's a different ghost now. No, now it's going this way. Like,
and the neighbors are acting weird like it's the Burbs.
Exactly. Oh, there's something going on with the neighbors. Like it just kept throwing curveballs. And that's what I love is that things change until the very last scene and keeps you guessing the entire time, along with the beautiful visuals that Robert Zemeckis gives us. So some of those shots are just so cool. I loved it.
Yeah.
There's an interesting background of this movie that this script was developed by documentary filmmaker Sarah Krikorin, I don't know. She had adapted personal experiences of the paranormal with a script of a retired age couple dealing with the restlessness of just sort of empty nesting, and then they start to contact ghosts. DreamWorks commissioned Clark Gregg from the Avengers.
Agent Coulson from the Avengers wrote What Lies Beneath.
Yeah.
What the hell?
You have to talk about that.
Wait.
He did a rewrite of this movie.
What a fun fact.
What a fun fact.
He did a rewrite of this movie that ended up becoming What Lies Beneath. It ended up getting optioned for DreamWorks. Robert Zemeckis had just signed a contract with DreamWorks, and Spielberg convinced him to do the movie, and Robert Zemeckis was wanting to do the movie Castaway, and this was sort of a collateral for Castaway. We have to take a big break during the production of Castaway because Tom Hanks has to lose all this weight and get fit, and Zemeckis shot a movie in between production schedules, which is crazy.
Wild.
This movie is so complicated.
Yeah.
This just isn't like a movie that is like adapting a one-act play.
Exactly. Well, and there was so much, like I read, which maybe we're going to talk about it later, but how they had to film in so many different locations and build up and tear down sets consistently to match with the house in Vermont. And it's like, how did you film that just on your downtime while waiting for Tom Hanks to lose weight? I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, Tom Hanks was probably into his late 40s at this point in 2000, maybe not late 40s, mid 40s in 2000. And what did he lose? Like 60 pounds?
True.
I think he got down to like so very skinny. Yeah. And that takes a hot minute, especially when you're in your later 40s.
Right.
So, maybe if you're Tom Hanks and you've got just all the wealth and nutritionists in the world at your disposal, but still, so that takes a minute. But yeah, just the fact that he could have just been like, I am Bob Zemeckis. I'm going to spend the next 8 months on a boat, eating grapes. I don't know. What do you do when you're rich? Do you eat grapes on a boat?
You eat grapes on a yacht, I think. Yeah.
On a yacht. Yeah. Caviar, maybe. I just imagine the first scenes of Overboard. That's
100%. Just oysters on a yacht. That's it.
I think that people like Joss Whedon do stuff like this where they shoot a movie as they're editing their movie, but it's usually
something small.
It's usually all set in one location.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's done with like friends.
Yeah.
And it's a very small scale, but this is like $100 million movie.
I was going to say, this was no easy feat.
Robert Zemeckis fully made like budgeted of over $200 million for 20th Century Fox and DreamWorks for movies.
Wow.
That's crazy. Like you never see stuff like that now.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Not at all.
Yeah. And just like talking about like how complicated this movie is, you mentioned the house. It's like, and the story goes that they needed this location, that the house is on a lake. It's kind of isolated. It's overlooking this beautiful lake somewhere in Vermont, and they couldn't find anything that they liked, so they just built it.
Yeah, they're like, we're going to make our own house. Sorry about it.
Yeah.
No big
But
deal.
it also works because the house itself is so kind of like complicated and crazy, and this movie is full of extremely long takes where it follows the actors without cutting, and they're just giving lines and lines and lines of dialogue. And in certain scenes of the movie, it follows them from one room to another. And there's a lot of fun gags with the bathtub being filled up and not filled up, and steam in the bathroom and all this. And the house is built so that rooms have multiple entrances. so that she can go in one way and come out the other. And the bathroom has 2 doors and all that stuff. So they were able to just build this crazy, kooky, Winchester mansion.
Yeah, it felt like a maze. I found myself watching it yesterday and like trying to keep up with where all of these rooms were located and exactly like where his office was and how she was getting to it, because it's a complicated house. It's all over the place.
And I mean, get out of here with this master bedroom. This like sitting area.
That sitting area and those windows.
Her master bedroom is
so gorgeous.
It's the size of our apartment, first of all.
I think it was bigger than my apartment, actually. Yeah. And I live here with my husband and child. Yeah. That was just their room.
Scott noticed there's like a sitting area at like a bay window with like a table with like fresh flowers on the table. Like all this is going on.
It was the most stunning house. And even like when you'd go outside and they had that like beautiful garden with
her rose garden.
Get out of here with her garden.
I know, I can't.
But again, Scott mentioned it last night as we're watching it. She's not working.
Mm-hmm.
No. She has...
they flipped this house because it's a story point.
They talked about flipping the house.
Yeah.
They have one child. It's she had an only child who went off to college. So even when she was living there, she was pretty self-sufficient. Right. She's probably about 18. So she had time to just make home goods runs.
She did.
She's just going to Home Goods. It's Thursday, going to pack it up, get some...
the full Chip and Joanna. Just really go for it,
I just need pillar candles of varying sizes. There were so many pillar candles in this movie.
There were so many pillar candles. I don't know why you need that many, but it made the movie great.
Yes, atmosphere. That's why you need that many. There's also a lot of just early 2000s laptops just thrown around.
None of them are plugged in.
A laptop thrown everywhere in every scene. But again, it's one of those things. It's very cliche, but it's like the house is a character in this movie.
100%. Yeah, just like New York City is always a character in the movie. We needed this beautiful Vermont house to be the character.
Exactly.
And that's some like Hollywood shit that they just built the house also on a soundstage for all of the night shots, especially kind of for the finale where they're really running around the house. That they just replicated it all in a studio in LA.
Yep. And nobody knew because it looked perfect and identical and we loved it.
Yeah. But I'm just sitting there like in the theater going, okay, so what do I have to do to have this house on a lake with a dock? And like, what is he? Some kind of like a physicist?
But he's
genealogist.
His dad was a famous mathematician that I guess just invested in good real estate in Vermont.
Yeah, it's so funny because I watched this movie more as a kid than I have as an adult. And so it was just so funny rewatching it now in my 30s and like focusing on completely different things. Yeah. All I'm thinking is like, man, I wish Alex, my husband, for anyone who doesn't know, I wish my husband had his job so we could move to Vermont. And like, how can I turn my bathroom into this? And like, I was only looking at the home goods and how much I wanted that way.
That faucet on that tub is pretty beautiful.
It's
for
stunning.
this house being from the year 2000, actually the design aesthetic of the bathroom,
really
it doesn't look dated.
It didn't at all. I was like, I would move in there right now. Like it felt modern enough.
That crazy like mirror situation in the bathroom that was on like that hinge with the like.
And there's one downstairs that matches it too.
Was there? I didn't even see because I loved that. It was like a gothic mirror. It was cool.
Yes, it's the one that those entryway like situations where you put like umbrellas and hang coats and then there'll be a big mirror on it. There was one of those, and it's the thing that you see
when the door flips open with the rain pouring, like one of the best shots in the movie.
Love it. Crazy sound cue. Well, at any rate, that little piece of furniture matches the one in the bathroom upstairs.
Gotcha. Yeah. There was a lot of sale. He got it from an estate sale.
I don't know.
No, he's just guessing.
I think she just got it from the
She went antiquing,
Of course. That's the only place you can get those.
With her friend Diana Scarwood.
Oh, we love Diana Scarwood. Scott sent me the best text last night saying that it's basically me and Ashley were the two of them in the situation, and that like Ashley is absolutely Diana Scarwood and would have sent me a book of spells and just been like, honey, you have a ghost, do some spells.
This is what we gotta do.
Divorced Joe. She just bought herself a hot car.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yep.
no.
She was my Jody.
She's going to visit you in your Vermont house.
Yes, coming to see me in Vermont. We do a seance together, get the Ouija board out. Like, that was 100% us. I loved it. She is my Jody.
Yes.
I'm always such a sucker for female friendships in movies that feel real. And that relationship feels very much like my mom and her friends. Like, it has a very just charming and realistic quality about it. I
agree.
Love.
It was very believable, especially like when they had to have that tough conversation when she's starting to find out, what happened to her. I loved the way her and Jody interacted when she was like, I couldn't tell you because of the situation, even though I knew this information, and just that whole conversation felt very realistic. It seemed like something I would say with my own friends. I liked that. Very believable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this plot does have very many twists and turns, so I think it might be difficult for us to do a little bit of a direct
So kind of the first
recap.
half of the movie is empty nesters, daughter's gone off to college, and it's the weirdo neighbors section, which I do love.
I do love that.
This is a big misdirection. It's kind of the MacGuffin of this script that you think it's going to be that James Remar has murdered his wife, played by Miranda Otto, and Miranda Otto is like trying to contact Michelle.
Yes.
That her husband killed her.
Yep, we believe the neighbor's dead and is now haunting their house. So we're like seeing weird behavior from the neighbor while also now strange occurrences are happening in Michelle Pfeiffer's home.
Yes.
They're tricking us.
And this is kind of its first big Hitchcock moment, is like the Rear Window section of Michelle looking out the window with the binoculars. And we live in a 2-story house, and we have I always call it our rear window view of the neighbors outside. So I totally do shit like that. Like, I will just like check on all of the houses and what people are doing.
Sure.
We have like our porch that I'll just like sit on a chair. All I just need is a pair of binoculars.
All you need is like a fleece blanket to lay over your lap and like a shotgun, because that's what you're turning. That's what I'm turning into when I sit out there.
You're the cranky old man sitting out on the porch.
Don't even think about parking in front of the house.
Oh, no.
Don't you dare.
No. Or blocking the driveway. Toad. So I like the way they set up. This house is isolated. It's not a normal neighborhood. It's not like you just have the establishing shot of driving down the street and you see all the houses. It's just this huge house on the lake. And there's a smaller house that's next door. They set up the new neighbors, and the setup is that they fight a lot, and they fight to the point where they can hear them from their bedroom, and they're just like, oh my God, they're screaming again. And then they have like crazy loud makeup sex and all this stuff. And I think it's really fun the way Michelle Pfeiffer plays it, because she's just like, oh my God, these people are so weird.
Yeah, exactly.
but she can't help.
Like, should I go over there and do something? Like, should I say something?
Should I step in? Or I guess I'll just sit here and comment to my husband about how bizarre our neighbors are. Like, she can't do anything.
Yeah. And, but there's some really fun stuff with hearing Miranda Otto just kind of like weeping, openly just crying in her yard, and just like kind of going over and listening and talking through the fence, and like some really spooky stuff there. And when it gets to the point where she fully sees James Remar putting a human-sized bag
into his car,
into the trunk.
Yeah, they build it up so well. And then suddenly we're not seeing the wife anymore, and it gets a little fishy. They did such a good job.
And there's really some fun atmospheric stuff about her. I love when she gets, the little welcome basket. She's just like, well, I got to figure out some way to get over. I know, welcome basket. Very smart, very like good. Okay.
Go cut some flowers from my beautiful rose garden.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My perfect life. Bring over this basket of treats. I'm so rich. I can
Lovely
get them a nice bottle of wine.
I love, though, when she's walking over there and, she's calling for her. She's like, Mrs. Fewer. And like nobody's answering. And she sees the little like shoe. The
bloody shoe has like a little drop on it. Is it though?
Blood?
Yeah, we don't know. It looks like a maybe bloody shoe.
Is it nail polish?
Yeah, a little bit of paint. We're not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But also you see that the house is a little run down.
Yep.
It's not nearly as fabulous as as theirs.
As hers,
next door.
yeah. And stuff is in a little bit of disarray inside, which again is just like making us suspicious. That whole scene where she's walking along their porch looking for Mary, I'm just like clenched because like, oh God, the husband's coming home at any minute. Like I can barely get through that scene, even though I've seen it a million times now.
And it looks like there's like tarps on the ground inside.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's right. There were like shower curtains or something on the ground. It was very
he
weird.
for sure chopped up his wife's body. Yep.
Yeah.
Here we are.
And they never do explain what it is that he put in the trunk of his car that day.
I like that though.
Me too. That it's just kind of left to the imagination.
And that's very Norman Bates.
Yes.
That it looks like he's bringing a body out
into
in the trunk.
Yeah.
Yep.
But when James Remar does show up and he's just like, hi,
what you doing? What's up?
I got to leave. So
I love how Michelle
hit the bricks.
I'm busy. You have to go. I don't know what you're doing.
I love the look on Michelle's face when just how she plays that moment of like, she kind of laughs to herself and then introduces herself that I know this looks crazy.
Yeah.
But trust me, it's not.
I look insane right now. I promise I'm normal. And then
because she's fully like on the wrong side of the porch when he shows up. So she knows she's been caught snooping.
Correct. She looks super creepy. And then, they just like intentionally give us nothing with him. Like, I just love that he's just straight faced, kind of like, I caught you in the act. I'm not giving you any information. I'm heading out. Bye. So we're all still like, but what happened?
And then she has the really weird face-to-face with Miranda Otto.
Well, is this before that? Because at this point, does she not think she's dead? Oh, well, who cares?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But their face-to-face is before she goes over with the basket when they meet at the fence, right?
Through the hole in the fence.
Oh,
yeah.
I jump out of my skin every time that part happens.
That jump scare when it's just the eyeball in the little hole. Yeah, that's a really good one. And she's just like, everything she said just like doesn't make any sense, but it's just like, at the end of the day, when it's explained, you're just like, okay, so she's a little kooky. Yeah. He's a little weird. They're kind of meant for each other. And this is just their codependent marriage.
Yeah. Like we still learn throughout the movie that the relationship is kind of toxic, like not the best, but they're not necessarily murdering people.
Right.
But this subplot kind of leads us into what the story's really about.
Right.
It's like the money from Psycho.
Yes.
It leads you into this is what's really going on. When she starts to see the photo always being knocked down, the door not closing. So she's getting these subtle hints of what's going on.
Yes.
Yes.
And she sees those initials appear on her computer screen pretty early on, right? Like the MEF, which again, the neighbor, she finds out are also the neighbor's initials. So she's like, oh, it's for sure the neighbor trying to contact me.
Yes. She has been murdered by the husband. And now she's like in my house, opening my doors.
And she thinks that she sees her in the bathtub.
Yes. Oh God. Some of those bathroom scenes and like the mirror and the words appearing on the mirror. It's just all too much.
The foggy mirror. Yeah. I love it. So atmospheric. They do really good things about setting up this bathroom and just how important this room is in this house. It is a lovely bathroom. I have to say, I've talked about it already.
Gorgeous. I want to take a bath in there immediately. It's
I
so
know,
beautiful.
this huge clawfoot tub.
And I like that for as big as these sets like the living room is, the bathroom does look realistic. This is how big a bathroom would be in a house like this.
Totally.
Yeah. So Michelle Pfeiffer kind of tells Harrison Ford, stuff's going on. Like, the picture keeps falling. She, lets him know, and she ends up going to therapy. These therapy sessions make me laugh.
They're so funny. In, a basement. In this weird
what lies
basement.
beneath?
Yes.
Did you get that
there
theme?
You go. She has to be beneath the ground. Yeah, she's in the creepiest therapist office I've ever seen. But
what would you do if your husband sent you to a therapist and the therapist just offered you a fireball?
I'd be like, you don't have
a fireball?
No mints? Give me an Altoid.
Yeah, help me out.
Fireballs are very interesting candy to offer someone.
It's really, they're so bold. They're very intense. Like that's not, I don't see how that's helping the situation at all.
But the therapist does help her because he's just like, well, you should just check it out. If it's something that is really on your mind, you should look into it more.
I do appreciate that he, he's not jumping to any conclusions. He's sort of like,
he doesn't treat her like she's crazy.
Yes. He's not immediately like, okay, we need to treat what's going on in your brain because something's off. He's absolutely listening to her, telling her she should dig in a little deeper. And boy, does she. So I like this therapist.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's like, okay, so are you taking any medication? And she's like, yeah, Valium for sleeping. I'm like, you take Valium? Like, how often? That's like pretty hardcore.
It is. And to take, like, is she taking it every night? Like,
every night?
Like, maybe you are having delusions.
Have you not heard of melatonin?
I know, right?
Claire,
one of those gummies.
Get an edible or, CBD, whatever.
Yeah. It's the year 2000. All they had was like regular NyQuil, not even ZQuil. It was just like, I'll just take NyQuil because it knocks me out.
Yes, the straight up hardcore medicine. It was like
even though I'm not
sleeping
sick.
pills that just, you're out and you have the craziest nightmares of your life. That's what they were taking.
Yeah, that's a thing, right?
It is. I think if you take something
dreams?
strong enough, you might have a night terror. You may try to drive your car. I don't know. So
a night terror too. Oh my gosh. So I think we cracked it. It's just all the crazy Valium.
Yeah, guys, really nothing that we saw play out, none of that actually happened. It was all an Ambien dream. That's what we learned. It's fun.
She mixed some Ambien with her Franzia. But yeah, the therapy scenes are interesting because he's telling, when she says, there's a ghost in my house or whatever. And he's like, okay, talk to the ghost.
Yeah.
Make contact.
See what they want.
And I don't think he's patronizing her either. I think he's just like, let's just figure shit out.
Yeah, it's like, at least try this and maybe you'll get some kind of response, or maybe
this is something that's on your mind and maybe you'll get some closure with it.
Exactly.
If you at least try.
Yeah. And if nothing happens, then we know maybe we need to talk about this a little more and find out what else is wrong. But I love that he steers her in the direction of like, dig in, go for it.
I mean, this doctor knows what he's talking about. When he's not helping patients, he is helping to develop the AI for the T-1000 Terminators. So,
that's right. He is in T2.
It's Miles Dyson.
That is amazing. Yeah, he's busy. He has that side hustle.
Artificial intelligence, therapy. It's
we
a lot.
trust him. We trust this guy. Oh my gosh, that's so good.
So, this is when we get the first seance. With Judy.
Jody.
Yeah, Judy.
Jody.
It's Jody.
Yeah.
We love her. We get our seance. Yeah. I love the seance scene. It's really great.
And I love fully that it's just like unwrapping the plastic on the Ouija board. Like, I just bought this.
We have our glasses of wine in the bathroom.
Yes, they have their wine, their
Girls'
candles.
night.
Yes, new Ouija
pillar
board.
candles.
Yes. And Jody is definitely, like, that's why she's such a great friend, because she is a little bit like, I don't know if anything's going to come of this, but hell yes, I'm like, count me in.
But yeah, I'm in. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, fully. I love that. The door slams open, but Coop, the dog, also walks in. But I feel like the door slammed way too open for the dog to.
I agree. And the dog doesn't come in for a hot second. So I was always confused by that part, because it was like, did the dog push it open, run around a corner, and then come back in? Like, I didn't understand the sequence of events with the dog charging in. So
I think it could still be ghostly.
Yeah. And maybe the ghost swung the door open, and then Coop, the dog, was just like, oh, sweet, I'll come in.
Right.
Let's
yeah, exactly. Oh, the door's open now. I can come in.
I've been invited.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I love that they use the bloody shoe that she fully has now stolen from the from the porch.
She really, this is when she starts to cross some boundaries.
She's all in.
Yeah, she's fully in.
But again, it's just Jody is just like, is that the shoe? What is going on? Like, where did you get this?
Are you okay? I'm a little worried. I feel like I should be talking you out of this, that you're robbing your neighbors.
Yeah. So we should also mention that there's kind of a, not a theme, but this plot point that a year prior, Claire, the Michelle Pfeiffer character, had been in a pretty bad car accident.
She hit a tree.
She hit a tree, wrapped her car around a tree. It's been a full year. You know, in that time, her only daughter has gone off to college. Her husband is like working on this like prestigious situation at this college. All these things are happening to her. The new neighbors, remodeling this house, just a lot of stuff's going on in her life. But the big thing that's kind of looming over her is this car accident. Mm-hmm. And, you know, she goes to this party for the husband and meets this woman. And the woman is like, oh, man, like, how you been? Like, last time I saw you, like, a year ago, it was like...
You were so upset.
Yeah, you were so upset. You kind of spooked us. And she just has, like, no memory of it.
And this woman definitely feels like she belongs in a Hitchcock movie.
Oh, my gosh, she does. I love the woman that approaches her. She was the perfect woman to move the plot forward for us. Like, we loved her.
Yeah. And so we kind of get these little clues that like something big happened to her.
There's a bigger picture
a year ago. Yeah. Right. And she's blocking out memories, or she just doesn't, because the accident was so bad that she just doesn't remember maybe the whole day.
Yeah.
You know, because of the trauma of the accident or whatever, but we're slowly piecing together all of this stuff. We should mention though that she did kind of have one freak out where she finally thinks that James Remar killed the wife.
Oh, right.
She thinks Mary Fewer is dead, and she storms over to Harrison Ford at work, and she's just like, he killed her.
Yeah.
This scene is so
full
fun.
Mental breakdown. She starts screaming and then actually sees the neighbor too. That, I think that's in the same scene, right? When she, like,
it is.
Yeah,
they
go out into the hallway and they see what's his face.
And all these people are coming out. Yeah.
And she's like, you killed her. I know you killed her. But then lo and behold.
You think you're smart, don't you? You think you got away with it. Well, I know you killed her, you murdering son of a bitch.
Oh.
Don't give me that shit. Your wife.
I'm sorry, she's very upset. Forgiveness, please. I didn't kill my wife. Are you all right?
The wifey shows up, and then she just looks crazy.
Yeah. That's a great scene. I think it's played really well by all of them.
Yeah.
It is.
Harrison Ford's just like, shut up.
Well, even how she approaches Harrison Ford, that she just says she's dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's dead. I know she's dead. Yeah, like, you know damn well who. Like, she's so confident.
Yeah.
And when you think about what's really going on.
Yeah, what Harrison Ford knows.
Right?
He's just like, oh, shit. What?
Oh, man.
Oh,
that
shit,
is so
you know?
true. Like, once you know how the movie ends to rewatch it, it's like, you think he's probably shitting his pants. Like, what has she found out?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Exactly. Yeah. And then when she sees, James Remar in the hallway, and she's like, you murdering son of a bitch. And everybody's just like, record scratch.
Yep. Everyone stops in their tracks.
Yeah. But that brings us to this other party where the woman is now telling her about, how you got so freaked out and you kind of scared all of us and blah, blah, blah. And she sees again, they're at the party, James Remar and Mary Fewer, the Fewers are at the party, and like, Miranda Otto waves, and then James Remar does this thing where he like
strangling. He pretends to strangle his wife. Oh, Michelle Pfeiffer's just like, God damn it! Listen, I know I seem crazy. You just feel for her
now. Yeah,
no. It's so bad. I just I feel so in that sequence of events. You just feel so bad for her because it's like you look unhinged, but you are seeing crazy things. So like we want to be on your side, but dang, your public image. It's not great.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. There's a lot of really great lines and a lot of really fun delivery by Michelle Pfeiffer, when she says like, damn well who, and she's dead. And that line it was in the trailer in every TV spot where she just says, there's something going on in this house.
Yes. That's the line that always stuck with me. It just like how high and like desperate her voice sounds. Like I will never forget that. It's a great acting moment for good old Michelle.
Yes.
So how does she end up finding Amber Valletta's name? She looks it up online.
Oh, the picture falls again.
Yes.
Yes.
And when it breaks the frame, and on the back, it's a cutout from a newspaper. And on the back of the photograph is a little teeny corner of an article about a missing girl.
Yeah.
And
because it's a framed photo of
a newspaper cutout.
Newspaper cutout.
Yeah.
Okay,
and it was a framed photo of the party, right? Because I thought that was kind of why she was looking at it, because the older woman had approached her at the party to say, like, you freaked us out last year. So she's staring at this photo like, wait a second. I was freaking out. Why was I freaking out?
Yeah.
And then little Ghosty knocks the picture off again.
Again.
To be like, listen, you're on the right track. Pick it up.
You're almost there. Very, very like escape room. Like, nope,
Yes.
just keep looking at this.
Yes,
Keep looking at this.
Staring at this. You're on to something. Yes.
Yeah. Is the name in the article, or does she just start? Oh, I think she starts looking up on the internet.
Like missing people. Yeah.
Yeah. The interface of her like year 2000
That definitely takes you
search
back.
engines.
Yes. And the
How the
way
internet used to look like.
the pictures take so long to load and they're so pixelated that
Yeah.
was such a throwback. I was like, oh yeah, you really had to wait a long time to see things on the internet.
Yep.
It loaded so slowly on that huge box of a computer that they
Oh my God, those monitors.
I know. I can't.
So heavy. So heavy. She finds the girl. She finds the initials that match the MEF that was on the high score of her solitaire game,
Yep.
Yes.
which I love.
The winner's circle. MEF. Yeah.
Hey, we've all spent countless hours playing Microsoft.
Right?
Oh, 100%.
Solitaire.
I would spend countless hours sitting and playing
I was
solitaire.
also the king of Minesweeper.
Oh,
but,
I loved
you know.
Minesweeper. Man.
That one's not for everybody.
It's not, but that is a good one. I love it.
That was a good one. The big, giant, wide one where it would be like the whole screen. Oh my God.
Yes, you just kept advancing to these crazy levels, working around the
yeah.
little bombs. It was just so good.
Love it. I'm gonna find an OS. I'm gonna find an iPhone version. I'm sure there is.
Yeah,
There has to be
I was
a
going to say there has
Minesweeper
to be a way to play Minesweeper. If you find it, message me
in
immediately.
2021.
I need Minesweeper to come back into my life.
Yes. So when she finds the girl, she just Nancy Drews her way to
Her
the
mother's
mother's
house.
house.
Played by Merkelo.
Merkelo, no.
I'm sorry.
It's like Nicole, but with an M.
Nicole.
It's Nicole Mercurio.
Mercurio.
Okay, I'm going to start this over again so I can edit it later.
We can do this.
She finds the mother, played by
Nicole Mercurio.
Let's all say it together.
That's just
Nicole
a hard name to say.
Mercurio.
Well, it's Nicole with an M? Whose name is Nicole?
Yeah, whoever has named a child that. Is this
I'm
real?
gonna write
Anyways, it's the mom from While You Were Sleeping.
There you
Is
go.
it the mom from While You Were Sleeping?
Yeah,
Oh, it
she's from While You
is.
Were Sleeping.
I was going to say, I'm going to write a fan letter to Nicole Mercurio and be like, tell me about your first name.
Well,
but she's
away.
passed.
Who? Oh, she has.
I remember when
Yeah.
she passed away.
R.I.P.
2016. R.I.P. Nicole.
Nicole. Interesting.
While you're
Okay.
she's in Flashdance. How about that?
Dang.
Just a
I love her-
character actress at the time.
I love her performance in this movie.
I think she's really good.
Me too.
When she's
Yeah.
holding her cat and she's talking about her daughter.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
And she's watching her stories.
You can
Reminds
tell.
me of
Like,
it
she's a
reminds me of
grieving
Sounds of
woman.
the Lambs, actually.
Ooh.
It reminds me of that scene with Jodie
Yes.
Foster when she goes over to the girl's house in Sounds of the Lambs and she goes
Right.
into the bedroom.
I agree.
It
Very,
definitely
very
has
much.
that same vibe. And the bedroom is still perfectly, it's immaculate, like a
Yes.
perfect shrine to the daughter. And it's a very clear grieving mother who is like,
Yeah.
I still don't really know how to live a normal life without my daughter.
Yeah.
She plays it very
You know
well.
what I loved in the daughter's room, played by Amber Valletta, 90s model. There's a bunch of pictures of her.
Yeah.
But I feel like she had them up. I feel like the girl had, like, not that the mom went in and put up pictures, like,
She
I'm
had
going to
them up.
frame this photo of my daughter and put him in her room. I think she put them there herself.
You think she was that into herself that she
Well,
wanted
yeah,
them around?
because she was like super cute.
Yeah.
Like, there's a little itty bitty plot point that you hear when Michelle Pfeiffer is calling. I think she calls a newspaper or something, and they say that she had this red Mustang convertible that she would drive around town, and everybody always noticed her in this red convertible. And there's a picture in there of her standing in front at a car dealership, standing in front of the red convertible, like with her arms up, like, woo, I'm buying this car.
Right.
And I think it's just this girl that's just like, yeah, I look cute. I'm putting these pictures up. And I think there were other pictures of like models and stuff. So I think she's just like, you know, I'm into fashion and being cute and whatever.
Right. I mean, yeah, if you're as stunning as she was, I guess I understand that. You're like, hey, I'm beautiful. I know it. I'm going to show it off. And I have a badass car.
Yeah.
She was digging herself. She liked to be a little flashy. It makes sense.
Yeah, played by supermodel Amber Valletta. We just watched the fashion documentary Unzipped, which has all of the big 90s supermodels walking the Isaac Mizrahi runway show, and I think Amber Valletta is in there somewhere.
Oh, wow.
She probably is. She probably is.
She probably is.
Cool.
That was her era.
Yeah, that was her time to shine.
Yeah. It's funny because, you know, she plays this like young college co-ed, and the newspaper article puts her, you know, because she's like a missing person or whatever. So they put her age and it says born 1974. And you're just like,
Really?
Oh my God, how old is this movie that the college co-ed was born in 74?
You're like, wait a second. I have to do some math here. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is wild. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. But yeah, I want to look up and see if she was in Unzipped because I'm
think she
sure
might
she
I know. I was
sure
going to
she
say,
is.
I'm looking at her now.
But you know what I love too is that
Oh, she's
the
so
whole
pretty.
the only thing that Claire sees of the ghost is the reflection, and it's a reflection in water.
Right.
And when she's telling the therapist, he's like, well, what did the ghost look like? And she's like, well, she looked like me.
Yeah.
And he's like, so you saw a reflection
That
in the
looked like
bathtub
yourself.
that looked like you. Got it.
Which, yeah, again, it's like you just feel for her. So it's like, no, she looked like her, but it wasn't her.
But it was clearly next to me.
Yeah.
Like, we as the audience were like, no, we see it
I
too.
know. Like, Michelle, I hear you. I see you. I get
Yeah.
it.
And the interesting thing is that when you look at Amber Valletta, you're not like, oh, look how much she looks like Michelle Pfeiffer.
Right.
Because they don't really look alike. But the way that this movie is shot, it really works.
Oh,
It
we have to talk
totally
about
works.
we have to talk about the possession scene.
Oh, I love the possession scene. And again, this is like what is so good is like the way they, you know, morph these two women together. And again, like if you're looking at their pictures side by side, you're not like, oh, these two are sisters. But the possession scene, they did it just right. Oh,
That
so
special effect, that
Michelle-
morph effect is like, how did they do it so subtly?
I think she's starting to suspect something. Your wife.
that
Michelle
transition
doing
was
her
clean.
best
So
Selena
smooth.
Kyle delivery when she's eating the apple. So when we were watching that scene, we, no joke, did frame by frame of when she's on top of Harrison and her face slowly becomes Amber.
It's
Amber
the
Valletta.
smoothest morph I've ever seen.
It looked so good.
I don't know how they made it that clean. It blows
Yeah.
my mind. And it scares the pants off me every time.
Yeah.
Again, it's like no matter how much I see this movie, I just feel so unsettled when the face changes.
And that's the
your
thing.
wife.
It's unsettling. It's unsettling
Yes.
is what it is. Because 1 second it's her and the next it's not. And, you know, I was saying last night, I was like, this ain't no like black or white, like Michael Jackson video. Like when we were first introduced to this technology, it was like not the best. So
No, not at all.
you know, it was jarring and weird looking and all that. And
Right.
just the way that they got it to do that then was like, we had
I
never
agree.
seen anything like
Yeah,
that.
it does not feel like a 2000s movie where you're like, okay, I see you were trying this effect and it wasn't the best. Like it looks so clean, and it's like
kind
that's
of-
why it's freaky.
If Hitchcock had digital technology, it would look a lot like this movie.
Oh yeah,
I think that was kind of the idea.
yep.
Well, you know, Meryl Streep has famously said that she did not have the best time working on Death Becomes Her
Oh, I didn't
because
know.
of the technical aspects of the special effects and what had to be done to achieve all of that. And that's the thing. I feel like Robert Zemeckis really kind of perfected special effects, but not to they're not used in a flashy way. They're used to
Right.
make things look realistic.
I think I remember reading that the water, when she first goes to the bathtub and the tub is filled up with water, I think that water is digital.
Yeah.
When she looks into it.
Interesting.
And some of the condensation on the mirrors that she wipes off is probably not there and all of that. And, so Meryl Streep has said, like, I didn't enjoy it. It was a comedy, but it was so technical. We had to hit specific marks.
It takes some of the fun out of it, and I'm sure it doesn't make you feel as natural as an actor when you're like, oh, God, I have to remember this, and I can barely move for this part. And
Absolutely. But Michelle Pfeiffer is quoted on this movie just saying that she enjoyed it because it just kind of showed her another aspect of movie making that she wasn't kind of familiar with. So she has fully said, like, it was cool. Like, I thought it was fun just like seeing how it all comes together.
That's
because
so cool.
Yeah, because like that morph in particular, like had to be specific. Like you're going to move from here, you're going to end here, and you're going to do it in this amount of time.
Yeah.
And don't move because then we're going to have to do it all over again.
Exactly. Like you have to hit this exact spot or the scene doesn't work at all. So I'm sure that was so challenging. And man, and even before like we get into the special effects, her acting in that scene is amazing because even though we don't fully know what has happened, like it kind of takes a minute to realize, oh wait, she's conjured something up. She's possessed. Like you see that her personality, her face has just completely changed. Like I just love the way she plays Amber Valletta. It was so good.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that she mentions, which I was kind of like, how did you catch that, Claire? Is that because she mentioned it before she found the real girl.
She talks about the blue eyes.
She talks about that the ghost has green eyes.
Oh, green eyes, sure. Yeah. And Michelle's wearing green contacts.
In
that scene.
In the red dress,
Yes.
And you really only notice it when in that specific shot we talked about where she looks at the reflection in the mirror.
Right. But that's what's funny is, again, I was young when I saw this, so I was also just an idiot and didn't even fully grasp what the storyline was. But that's why it's been so much more fun to see it as I've gotten older, as I'm like, oh shit, she had green eyes in the mirror. I didn't even notice that as a kid. Like I grasped the fact that she was possessed, but I didn't notice the subtlety of her eyes turning green. And it's just, it's so perfect.
I think to me too, I just kind of thought like she just looks a little bit more spooky.
Yes,
like it was just like a little spooky filter that they gave to her to look a little bit more ghostly.
For this scene.
Yeah. But again, that's something, and we talk about this a lot too, because some of the movies that we cover on this show are not the most recent, but watching them on our home high def
on a really
giant
nice TV.
TVs we all are doing, you catch stuff that you never caught as a kid. You know, we were watching these VHS transfers on tiny little TVs in our bedroom or wherever, but now when we watch them in high definition, you're just like, oh my God, I never caught that before.
All the
and
little
seeing
details
something as subtle as Michelle Pfeiffer with green eyes instead of her like normal blue is just like, oh, we're catching them now.
Yeah, that scene is so good. And she becomes the seductress, and she is like just out for blood. Like it's so clear that it's not Michelle anymore. It's like whatever she has become is angry. And then we finally realize, oh, her face is now Amber Valletta, and she's on top of her husband. I see what's going on.
We'll take a screenshot it and post it on the Instagram.
Yeah.
Yes, it's good.
But it's interesting because she's calling him professor, but you're like, okay, well, maybe she's just calling him professor. But it's like, oh, okay, this is why she's calling him professor.
She's got that sexy Catwoman voice.
Yes.
We
saw the Catwoman come back out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good scene. And also the reveal of that spooky, wonderful shot we were talking about where Michelle Pfeiffer shows up in the rain and we see it in the mirror. Oh, it's beautiful. It's haunting. It's so good.
There's a little bit of kind of business with this necklace that he gets for her in this like, this cute little town.
Adamant, the town of Adamant.
Yeah, the little hippie town of Adamant. He gets her this necklace from this shop that's specific to the town. Claire sees it in the photograph that the police are using. She notices it kind of around. The whole situation with like diving off
I was going to say, she finds the key to this box in her house.
She finds it in like a vent, but it doesn't go to anything in their house. So she's like, what the hell is this key? But it has the symbol.
Yes.
And we get the reveal of her in the water.
Uh-huh.
I love that shot earlier in the movie when she looks over the pier and you just subtly see a face in the water. Just below. Yeah. It's so creepy and so good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. She finds this key like down in a little heater vent in the floor. Yeah. So something tells her to go back to the pier, and she dives in. I mean, that is some accuracy.
Yeah.
Of this dive. She goes straight in.
She knew right where it was.
100%. Yeah. She goes right to the box. And then is that the same scene? I know she's in the water a couple of times, so I may be getting it confused, but
she tried to go into it one time and then Harrison fished her out.
That's what I was thinking. He gets her out before she can discover too much, but now she knows something is down there. There's a box, but Harrison's like, what the hell are you doing? Why did you dive in?
Yeah. Because he starts confessing, but like little by little and not enough. First he's like, yes, I knew her. Yes, this. Yeah. But then each time it's like, okay.
We don't get the whole story.
Yeah.
Yeah, he admits to the affair because her memories start to come back from that horrible night she crashed her car and learned of the affair. He admits to it, but then is like, oh, but I stopped it. And that was it. Now we're fine.
And then she just disappeared.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a liar.
Liar.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
But he's so handsome. We believe him.
I mean, okay, come on. Yeah.
Forgive him, Michelle. He's beautiful.
Yes. We also have to mention that Michelle straight up stole a lock of hair from...
Not only was she bold enough to go see her mom and like really dig into this case, but she steals a lock of her hair. So
yes, from Madison.
She's getting wild. Yeah.
Yeah, she's wilding out at this point.
She is fully in.
Yeah, because this is how she gets possessed. Because now that she has a lock of hair, she does another Ouija board situation with the hair. She has the spell book of like conjuring people up, and now it's just open the door and fully is possessed. And now we have the scene in the red dress, which we love.
We love it.
So after he fishes her out, he gives her a little bit more confession, but not enough. She just jumps back in.
Yep.
She just dives back in, fishes out the box, breaks it open, and what does she find inside the box?
She finds the necklace.
Oh, yeah, the necklace. That's right. So she's starting to realize there's absolutely more to the story. Her husband is not telling her the whole thing.
What is it with straight men and buying their wives or girlfriends heart-shaped jewelry?
I know. We're not into it, I will say.
No. Have you ever been given like a heart-shaped necklace?
I'm not going to lie. My sweet husband did give me a heart-shaped necklace when we were dating. And I wore it.
Sweet, though.
I wore it to be nice for a while because I was like, it was one of his first like nicer gifts for me. And he spent a little money. But then a couple of years later, I think we were actually married at this point where we were being a little more honest with each other. He was like, you haven't worn that necklace I gave you in a while. And I finally said, it's not really my style, although I appreciate the thought behind it and how much
a lot of sentimental value.
Yes. And I still have it in a jewelry box somewhere, but a lot of women do not want to wear the chunky heart-shaped jewelry. Just a little PSA.
This chunky heart-shaped jewelry from Adamant, you can kind of tell that it's from like a little, one of those little hippie stores that you kind of walk into and they have like, everything in there's handmade.
Yeah, there's going to be some beautiful scarves along with the heart-shaped jewelry. Yes.
Some cone incense.
Exactly. Definitely incense, lots of candles. We're here for it.
Yeah, love it. Maybe some tarot cards.
Yes.
So we also have to mention that it was briefly brought up that something that Harrison Ford's job is working on is some kind of like chemical agent, sedative.
You get that shot of the robot rat.
Yeah,
yes.
that
the
robotic
really
rat.
Fake looking rat that's like yeah, it's a special scene.
Yes, it does this thing that it's not like chloroform.
Right.
It kind of paralyzes you but keeps you awake.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
that's
you
like
don't
the whole...
pass out, which is awful. Like you just
Yeah,
can't
like
move
why?
your body.
Why are they developing this? It's terrible.
That is kind of funny because they give us that foreshadowing scene with the robot rat saying like, "Oh, this is what we're developing." You just wonder, like, for what?
What are the applications of this besides torture?
Yes.
Don't worry, guys. It's going to come up later in the story.
Yeah. Because when it starts getting real, and he fully is just like, okay, now you know too much.
Yep.
You're going to the bottom of the lake just like Madison.
Yeah, exactly. Because she finally, it's like once she's gotten the box out of the water, it's like this girl didn't just vanish. Her possessions are in the lake outside of our house. So you better start spilling.
She gets him to confess that he did kill her, too.
No, he says that she committed suicide in their home. So
sure.
And
he had taken pills.
He just got rid of the body in the lake.
He drove her car
that's right.
or pushed her car into the lake. So he's still lying and says she was, threatening to kill herself. I didn't think she'd go through with it, but she did, and I had to cover it up. I couldn't let you find out, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Pulls a fast one on her, calling 411 instead of 911.
Oh.
Yes. He pretends to call the cops. Oh,
yeah.
Shady mother trucker.
Yeah. Well, we kind of skipped over the part where he first gives the initial bit of information that they had the affair to begin with.
Right.
And she's just like, all right, fuck it, I'm out of here. She goes to spend the night at Jody. When she goes back the next day, he's got like the full toaster in the bathtub.
Yep.
Situation, but it was an accident.
Yeah, he says, I wasn't trying to commit suicide. It was a total accident. But then he is manipulating her to feel bad for him and kind of rope her back in.
Come home, yeah.
We're going a little back and forth with this story.
It's fine. There's a lot going on in what lies beneath.
I knew it would be all over the place because this is such a complicated plot. I'm like, there's no way to go straight through. We can kind of just
get to the finale here.
Yeah.
But you mentioned it before, but I do really love that scene with Jody.
I was in Adamant.
In Adamant?
You know, that artsy little hippie village a couple hours away down on 7. I stopped at this little cafe to get a coffee, and I see Norman sitting in the back. But he wasn't alone. It was a young blonde woman. I didn't see her face. And I didn't think anything of it at first, and I was walking over to say hello. And they started arguing in such a way that it stopped me. And then a few days later, you were in the accident. And I get a bizarre call from Stan working at the hospital, asking me, was I with you that day? If you were upset about anything, he made it sound like you had deliberately driven your car into a tree. And I thought, oh my God, Claire's found out. And when I went to the hospital, I see Norman. And he was so desperate at the thought of losing you. I couldn't say anything. Please, don't hate me, Claire. I don't hate you.
Yeah.
Where she's like confessing, oh yeah, I saw them together.
Yes.
And it didn't look good. Mm-hmm. And then the accident happened and I just couldn't say anything.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. That's very true of how friends interact with each other.
Yeah.
That sometimes there are weird secrets that you don't tell a person that you care for, or especially when it comes to like affairs.
Yes.
Like, do you tell that person everything? Do you just like, that's none of my business, I should just stay out of it?
That's why I liked that scene, because it felt like a real complicated friendship where it's like, I wanted to tell you because I'm your best friend, but also I saw your husband weeping over your body in the hospital after your accident. And I just thought, this isn't the time, this isn't my place. And hopefully they're just going to come together after this and I will step aside. But she was so emotional telling her the truth about seeing them together in Adamant, that little town, come back up. And I just, it felt like a good friendship moment. I liked that scene. And she clearly was, that it had been bothering her for a long time.
Yeah. I love when she said too, that she's like, I saw them and I saw that he was with a girl and I was just going to go over and say hi. She said, about it. But then I saw them fighting. Yeah. And she's like, oh shit. Uh-huh. Like, you don't you don't just get into arguments like this with just like your niece or whatever.
Your niece.
Yeah. Diana's really good in that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is. That was one of the best acting moments on both their accounts. Because even like Michelle coming back like with tears in her eyes and saying like, I don't hate you. I couldn't hate you. I understand why you did it. It's all just so good. Shaking
her head no the whole time.
How
like a novice.
She's such an amateur.
Fuck that person that wrote that on IMDb.
I know.
We're going to find you.
I loved that scene. I thought her head shaking was just fine.
I know. Perfect. So we finally get to the big gaggerini of the movie.
This is like the stuff that was in all of the marketing. It's on the poster. It's kind of the Lacey pull quotes on the VHS box of "It will do for bathtubs what Psycho did for showers."
Yeah. It's so real.
Which I don't know if you can get away with writing copy like that in a review these days, but it worked in 2000.
It did.
Yeah.
For the time, it was fine.
It's a very effective scene.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh shit, is she going to drown?
Oof. Another one, I was saying it earlier, this is another scene where I'm just like clenched the entire time.
Yeah.
It is such a dramatic
very
leading
tense
up to the ending in this movie. Yeah. It's so good.
I do always think about it whenever I take a bath.
Yep.
It crosses my mind at least once.
Yep. I think about it
whenever I take
too.
baths.
I think I saw on Amazon like a thing that you can get to put over your, what is the thing in that circle in the bathtub so that it doesn't overflow,
so that the water can't get to a certain height. Yeah, you can cover that up with a little rubbery thing on Amazon, because some people want their water to be as high as
extra
possible.
high. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just ruin your bathroom floors.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, that's so funny, because
what happens?
That's what we need. We needed her water to be draining faster.
I know.
It's too much. I can barely handle the scene.
What happens to him that he slips and hits his... Does he just slip?
Amber Valletta appears.
Oh, the ghost, yeah.
He hits his head.
He is looking at her necklace, because again, the necklace comes into play. He only sees the chain. And so he's like,
what is this?
I need to touch this necklace. Her head goes forward, and then he tilts her back as she's sedated, and bam, she's like a rotting corpse.
And then he freaks out, hits his head, and that's how she kind of
manages to come to and gets up and goes downstairs.
That's what's crazy. He hits his head so damn hard on that sink. Like, he would be, if he didn't die or paralyze his body, he would be out for quite a while. But manages to crawl away and make it all the way downstairs somehow.
Yes, but he passes out downstairs.
Yes.
Yeah. She eventually, this paralytic whatever it is starts to wear off, barely enough for her to stop the water, make her way out. But it's interesting that Madison's ghost is there. Like, she's been there this whole time, kind of giving Claire these clues, like check the frame, check this picture, all this stuff. And then when she needs to come in clutch and get him out of the picture, she shows up to spook him. So she's fully there helping Claire this whole time, which
that's what I love. She appears exactly when she needs to. She's helping her in the creepiest way possible, but she's helping her.
Yeah. And I think it was kind of a big deal at the time to have Harrison Ford be this villain.
Play a villain. Mm-hmm. I think that he plays a villain in American Graffiti, and that's it. He's usually the hero.
Yeah. I was going to ask if there were any other movies, because I was saying that Alex yesterday, he watched pretty much just the end with me. He popped into the room, and he's a huge Harrison Ford fan, mostly because he's a huge Star Wars fan, and Indiana Jones nerds out. And I was like, is he ever a villain like this? He played it so well in this movie. I thought he needs to do this more often, but we couldn't think of any examples. So that is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's the mean guy in American Graffiti, and that's it.
Okay.
Right.
So I remember the marketing of this movie, and I was reminded about it of when I watched the trailer. This trailer gives away everything.
way too
pretty
much.
Pretty much gives away that he's the villain in the marketing of the movie.
I know. I didn't understand that because that's such a big twist. Like, leave that mystery.
I think that I must have seen it opening weekend because I don't remember being that pressed about the trailer giving everything away, because that's something that I would remember. Like, I would hold that against the marketing people 25 years later, because we had just done The Matrix and we were talking about how The Matrix really gave away a lot of cool special effects in the trailer.
I
think I remember seeing that. Like an Entertainment Tonight story about that, of the marketing just being too revealing about the movie at the time.
We must have seen it opening weekend because I feel like I would have carried it with me all these years.
But to be fair about the movie, I feel like if you were familiar with the trailer going into it, I think that you're just kind of along for the ride and you just kind of forget about it.
Like, I don't think it bothered me.
I guess it works.
Because again, twists and turns, it's all over the place. You think it's one thing, it's something else. So
yeah, even if you know that Harrison Ford's maybe going to snap and have an evil moment, you still have no idea how you get there. And you are, like we said before, you're truly guessing until the end of this movie of what is going on, what actually happened with the affair, what actually happened to Madison. Like, it goes all over.
Yes. The final, chase.
We get that beautiful shot of, it's like a CGI truck that Michelle's driving, but the camera goes it's a tracking shot that is following her in the truck and it goes inside the vehicle. That's so cool. And that was something that was pretty new at the time, that you didn't see complicated shots like that a lot.
Right. Yeah. I did like that shot. It was really pretty. And also total horror movie trope. There's that light kind of behind her in the car that keeps shining on the bed of the truck. And it's you're just waiting for something to appear.
Yeah. We also get set up earlier in the movie that their cell phones don't work until they get to a certain part of this bridge because they're so far removed. And so she's driving away as fast as she can. She's on the bridge. Cell phone finally gets service, and he breaks through. Yep. But I love that she's fully she's screaming into the cell phone I'm on the bridge, because it's dialed 911 at this point. So she's she's got her wits about her.
Yes. She really came through, from sedated in the bathtub to running out, getting in the car, getting to this bridge. You're so excited for her, but damn, Harrison Ford somehow has all this strength.
This is the killer coming back for one last scare.
Exactly. Yeah. It's he was knocked out for God knows how long, but he was able to sneakily climb in the back of this truck. Well, we won't question it. We'll believe it.
Bleeding from the gash in his head.
Yep.
Well, they're very lucky that the car managed to go down in the exact spot. He got rid of the body. Which I'm also saying, Harrison, kind of rookie move. You have a boat. Drop the body off in the middle of the lake and then get rid of the car somehow.
Right. Yeah, he didn't do a very good job. They land right on top of Madison's car that he pushed into the lake. And again, guess who pulls through?
Hey.
Madison.
The ghost of Madison.
Yeah.
Using her corpse.
She drags him below.
Yep.
What lies beneath.
I love that. Was so cool. I remember that specific moment in the theater just being it's her.
It's her. She's appeared. And she's don't worry, Michelle. I got you. I'm
about
to pull this guy underwater. You swim away.
You, fam.
Yeah. You get that beautiful digital effect of her decomposing. Because she's all beautiful and then she just sort of decomposes to her body.
And sinks away, and maybe she's finally gotten the closure.
Good movie. I feel like it's one of those movies that I will sometimes I'll not see for a while, and then I feel like we revisited it last summer, in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
and then we're just this movie's pretty fucking good.
It's
over 20 years old, and it has aged to perfection.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go over some of the Hitchcock inspirations that I wrote down.
Ooh, please.
The Bernard Herrmann inspired score by Alan Silvestri.
Yeah.
A very Hitchcock score.
Yeah.
Pretty much doing all of his major themes from Psycho.
Yeah.
There's a little Vertigo in there.
He does them pretty much all. pretty much does them all.
Because I think in a lot of the scenes, don't we get that good like violin, like dun, dun,
yes,
dun, dun. That's what we love.
Yeah, the strings are very Psycho-esque.
Spying on the neighbors from Rear Window, the shower scene from Psycho. It will do to bathtubs what Psycho did to showers. My favorite piece of copy from the VHS box. The shower curtain being pulled down. It's very Marion Crane when she gets stabbed. The Hitchcock blonde.
Yeah.
The blonde
kind of Hitchcock loved having a blonde leading lady like Tippi Hedren and Grace Kelly. So we got Michelle. Nosy neighbors, too. I feel like that's kind of that seems like a very Hitchcock trope, especially the woman that talks to her at the party.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Misdirect of the plot. You think that it's actually about the neighbors, but it turns out to be something entirely. That's something that Hitchcock kind of pioneered with his scripts.
We love it.
So yeah, that's kind of everything that I got that were Hitchcock references. Can you think of anything else?
I think just kind of he used mirrors a lot, and I think Hitchcock used a lot of imagery of reflections and the double meaning behind reflections and all of that,
right?
And just interesting and innovative camera work.
Yes,
it
was visually so cool, which and just like different, I feel like really creative angles, which was very Hitchcock. I felt like he always knew how to set up a really interesting shot that not many would do.
Yeah, and pulling things off that hadn't been done before. Like I was saying, that Zemeckis does, he uses special effects, but you don't think of it as a special effects movie like something that's sci-fi or The Matrix or Star Wars. It's it's a psychological thriller, but it uses effects in innovative ways. And Hitchcock did that a lot in Vertigo, kind of creating that accordion zoom push pull shot that he kind of innovated, kind of created, and is just used all the time now. Right. It's used in dog food commercials or whatever,
Right.
But
now it's for literally everything.
Yeah, but nobody had ever seen that. And in Vertigo, it just gave you this feeling, this sense of falling, and probably knocked people's socks off in 1951,
Like, I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
And there was even, again, like Alex walking into the room while I was watching it. I've seen it so many times. It's fun to hear his perspective. And there's a scene really quickly that when Michelle Pfeiffer first gets sedated by the halothane or whatever, the camera kind of goes like under her body, and suddenly the wood floor has like turned to glass, and I didn't even think twice about it, and he was like, wow, that's a really cool shot. I wonder how they did that. I was like, oh, you're right. Like, Bob Zemeckis is so cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's something that is not referencing anything specific from a specific Hitchcock work, but I think he was very much like, this is the kind of thing he would have done, like with the extreme close up of Marion's eye after she fell on the floor, all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Oh, it's so good. It's such a good movie. I've mentioned it on Keep It Weird, me and Ashley's podcast, a couple times. Like, it's one of those movies that, like, maybe I won't think about for a while, like you said, but if I really think about horror movies that have affected me, had a big impact on me, that one pops up. It's great.
Yeah, for sure.
I was reading that there was an unofficial Bollywood adaptation of the story called Raz.
I love that.
Wait, again, a wonderful fun fact. I need to see that.
I guess it was a huge hit in India, too.
What? I love that.
In 2002, I think.
Okay, we'll have to go find that somehow.
Well, it's just about time to wrap it up, I think. That was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
I love this movie. And here's my other thing. It doesn't always have to be October to watch scary movies,
This
people.
is true.
Amen.
Put them on.
Yeah, turn them on any random week. Give yourself a little thrill. They're a good time.
Yeah, indeed. And this movie is very re-watchable.
I feel like it's a very common theme in horror movies, too, that gay men tend to gravitate to, that there's a woman that's being treated like she's crazy, but she's really onto something. I feel like that's kind of a common theme in horror movies.
Yes, indeed.
I love it.
So we definitely recommend this movie. And actually, everybody, you're in luck, because right now What Lies Beneath is streaming on Amazon Prime Video.
Prime. Go check it out.
Yay, you don't have to rent it.
You don't have to rent it for once. Lauren, why don't you talk to us about Keep It Weird and where everybody can find you?
Yes, everybody, please check us out. We're Keep It Weird Podcast. We're basically on every platform that you can find podcasts.
Indeed.
Spotify, iTunes. I'm sure there's like a Google type thing we're on. Sometimes I feel like we pop up places we didn't even know we were. So look us up, social media at Keep It Weird Cast. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. We have a Facebook private group where we just post memes and fun stories all day.
Love it.
Come chat weird stuff with us, guys.
Always
Love
really
it.
good friends of the show.
Yes.
Sweet.
And you guys have a Patreon as well, right?
We what?
You have a Patreon as well,
yes,
right?
we do have a Patreon, Keep It Weird Podcast. Again, you can look us up on the Patreon website. Yeah. We send out a newsletter. We send out bonus episodes. We now are sending out 2 a month. It used to just be 1. So we have lots of fun goodies on our Patreon. It's well worth the money.
Love it.
And we love movies that made us gay.
Well, go and check out Keep It Weird, everybody.
You're our besties.
We love having you on.
Yes, indeed. We love having a fun sister podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Man. You're very welcome.
So much.
Thanks for coming on, and we hope to have you back on soon.
Oh, yes. Anytime.
Hopefully in person next time.
Oh,
I mean,
please.
fingers crossed.
Over it. Over this.
Yes, indeed. Us too. All right. Well, we'll let you enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Bye.
Bye. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening to another great episode. Mm-hmm. That was lots of fun. We love Lauren. We love Keep It Weird. As you guys know, they're frequent contributors to movies that made us gay.
I've been chatting with Ashley about topics that we might go on Keep It Weird for. So I have a feeling that we're going to guest on their show soon. I have a feeling that we might be back on Keep It Weird. Well, we've got a couple of new patrons that we want to say hi to, so it's time for our Patreon shout outs. So we'd love to say hello to Jamie Rinker, our new patron. Thank you so much for joining. We'd also love to say hello to Drew, Jimmy, Genevieve, Don, Josh, M, Aaron, Melinda and Jim, Jessica, John, Nick, Christine, Rufino, and Mitch. Thank you for being a friend. Travel the road and back again.
If you would like to check out our Patreon, head over to patreon.com/movies that made us gay. Very easy. We have some fun movie commentaries. Watch with us coming up soon. We're just making a list of movies to do, and we just released Empire Records. Yes, indeed. Lots of fun. You can watch Empire Records with us. It's like we're sitting right there with you in the living room talking crap. But yeah, check out our Patreon. We would also love it if you would rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars and write us a fun review. We'll read it on the air on one of our upcoming shows. Love it. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Movies That Made Us Gay, and you can find us on Twitter at MTMUGPod. You can find me, Pete, on Twitter and Instagram at Peter Lasagna. And I'm Oscar Scott on Twitter, Scott Youngballer on Instagram, and just Scott Youngbauer on Letterboxd. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week. Bye. Bye.